high above the shifting mists of the Moonshae Isles, placid and pastoral, where only eagles dare, where the reflections of the trackless sea illuminates the night sky and stars seem close enough to reach. The mist drifts closer as a keep of alabaster and windglass emerges, Zephyros's tower. A floating castle held aloft by cloud giant magic and eccentricity. Its master, Zephyros, known to many as the Cloudborn, is a wizard of unorthodox talent and curious habits. His beard braided with feathers, his eyes flash with the hope of the ordning, lightning glazing behind half-moon spectacles, and he speaks to the wind as though it were an old friend with terrible gossip. He floats down within his cloud castle to meet alongside the folk, a hardy northern people. While many giants see little but prey in the small folk, Zephyros has always been different. He saw in the shorter races a kind of wonder, a rawness, a spark he himself treasures. Come in. Mind your step there. No, that one's just a trick stare I use to keep the more unsavory griffins at bay. Welcome. Sit, my dear folk. You bring with you the scent of peat fires and sea brine, of heather and harvest. How refreshing it is to have mortals with calloused hands and uncalloused minds. A rare combination. Now then, since the wind is gentle and my floating tower won't be swept into Icewind Dale tonight, perhaps it's time I tell you a story. One from the deeps, yes. A tale possibly of clouds and sky whales, but this one is more focused on the trackless sea, where the stars above reflect deep secrets and the dark of the ocean is older than gods would know. This tale is about a kraken, a terrible one, a magnificent one, Slaakrethel. Many say he was born in the year of the kraken, 151 DR, but that would make him just a wizened old squid with ambition. Others speak tales, those tall tales that he is older than even the songs of the storm giants, that he was a child of the elder seas, spawned when the gods still debated what shape the world would take. I tend toward that version, naturally. It makes for a better theatrical arc, don't you think? He found the drowned ruins of Askal in 244 DR, a city lost to time and hubris. There, beneath coral-crusted halls and domes thick with barnacles and ancient magic, Slaakrethel read of his ancestors, of Krakens who were once more than beasts, once divine. Can you imagine? A god with 10 arms, each pulling the strings of the world. So he began building. Dreams and dread formed in what some might say would be a perfectible combination. He founded what you now call the Kraken Society. It's real, I assure you. Oh yes, they write their codes in tide charts and speak through dead fish. I once corresponded with one through a haddock, though I'm not sure it knew what it was saying. Slaakrethel sent his whispers into every port. He tempted the lost and the lonely, shipwrecked sailors, cast out nobles, failed mages. He drew them in with promises. Come serve me, and you shall see clearly beneath the waves, knowledge beyond mortal comprehension. Now, you may have heard of the purple rocks, those little dots far west of the Moonshaes. Lovely fishing and dreadful cults. There, the old humans once cast their children into the sea in honor of Slaakrethel. Despicable, vile, but oh, how curious. Some of them returned, changed, with skin like scales and eyes like tide pools. These children served him until the end of their mortal days, then vanished once more beneath the foam. They say Slaakrethel devours no soul, not unless they disappoint him. He is patient. He waits, forming his society to command the Sword Coast in his designs, the ocean his canvas of creation. In the year of the Leaping Lion, 834 DR, if you don't keep track of such things, he surfaced. A city called Port Last, not far from Neverwinter, nearly drowned beneath his rage. There, He fought Laeral Silverhand. Yes, that Laeral. Hair of starlight, fingers one with the weave, one of the seven sisters. The sea boiled, magic shattered. Laeral held fast, but Slarkrethel, he stole from her. Treasure, a throne, the magical throne of Stornenter. Why? What use does a Kraken have for a throne? Symbolism, my dear folk. Power, authority. Those things have weight even beneath the sea. And now? Now, Slarkrethel sleeps, or plots, or dreams of drowning continents. Some say he searches for a divine spark buried in the mariner's trench. Others say he already found it and simply waits for the right moment to ascend, to pull the world into the deep and crown himself a god of drowning. But listen well, my storm-hearted friends. His reach is long. His followers walk among the docks, sit at tavern benches, and smile just a little too wide when the tide rolls in. And you, who live by the sea and cast your nets each dawn, you may see his shadow before most. Yet do not despair. Even the depths must yield to the dawn. And as long as tales like this are told, and songs sung louder than the tide, there is still hope. Now then, who wants puffed bread and stormberry jam? A flock of seabirds breaks through the clouds. Somewhere below, the ocean stirs. Ancient weapons of the gods, Krakens slumber in the deepest oceanic abysses, awaiting their time to rise and dominate the world. At the beginning of time, they served as fierce warriors of the gods. When the gods' war ended, the Krakens shrugged free of their servitude, never again to be bound by other beings. These massive, many-tentacled horrors combine overwhelming physical might with formidable cunning. Their powerful limbs shatter ships and topple spires, and they use their control over storms to rain down lightning on their foes. Krakens usually have little interest in mortal affairs. These terrors were created by the gods to wage war in ages long forgotten. Since that era, most Krakens have vanished beneath the waves or moved back into the astral to slumber until the gods call on them again. Some Krakens serve divine masters still, protecting deep sea treasures, entire oceans, or the astral sea. Others have forsaken their divine creators and pursue their own agendas, manipulating forces beneath the sea and beyond. Krakens rarely appear on the surface, but when they do, they herald times of change and doom. When roused to action, these titans directly attack coastal cities or whole armadas. Kraken onslaughts persist until their wrath is sated, their divine patrons are appeased, or their egos are placated by valuable offerings. Aggressive, cruel, and highly intelligent, Krakens rule entire undersea regions. Though these behemoths are rarely seen on the surface, stories from scribes tell of ships dragged under and islands scoured of life, making their lairs within the material, thousands of feet below the ocean surface. They frequently inhabit huge cavern complexes that include sections filled with breathable air, where they imprison and breed humanoid slaves to serve and feed them. A Kraken can seem godlike to folk who have witnessed its fury, those who mistake its might for divine power, and those who seek to appease the monster through veneration are sometimes rewarded with power, to serve thereafter as its priests. Some Kraken are virtual gods, with cults that spread across land and sea. A Kraken can bring a bounteous harvest of fish and clear waves to those who venerate. However, the devious mind of these monsters are ancient beyond reckoning, and ultimately bent to the ruination of all things. A Kraken dreams of casting its tentacles into the heavens and strangling that which birthed it, and then, if its dream extends its reach, it settles for the occasional passing ship. Some of the foulest cults of the mortal and immortal realms worship Krakens, and when one of these monstrosities appears, its twisted followers are rarely far behind it. Aberrant creatures see Krakens as living avatars of the madness of the far realm. With dark rituals, they awaken these creatures from their slumber beneath the waves, or in the vast emptiness of the astral sea. Like all creatures of the far realm, Krakens hunger for the destruction of living things. No matter where they first appear, they are inevitably drawn to concentrations of sentient creatures, whether the smallest seaside settlement or a great astral dominion with life. Zephyros rose once more, dusted crumbs of stormberry crust from his robe, and ambled toward a great lectern carved from a single slab of floating mist. The room shifted as he waved a hand. Above, the cloud ceiling parted to reveal a star-strewn sky. Below, the sea gleamed black and endless. "I have just the thing," he said, with a glint in his eye. From behind the lectern, he produced a vast tome, bound in leviathan hide and reinforced with weathered bronze. Its title was etched in ancient Jotun, the script of Ostoria, the long-fallen empire of the giants. A rare volume, recovered from the drowned library of Uruth Eucrypt, back when my tower was drifting over a Norok. One of the last surviving copies from the Chronicles of Giantkin, and believe me, the title's the most optimistic part. He opened the tome with reverence and the air seemed to grow colder. In the uncharted darkness, before sky and stone were named, there came things that dreamed of ambition and pure, unrelenting destruction, born from places without shape or mercy. Remnants of a war never meant to touch our world. Zephyros's voice echoed as he read, slower now, more solemn. At the beginning of time, these monstrous ones, great and terrible, escaped the far realm. They fled across the astral sea, trailed by the detritus of broken worlds, dead stars, and unspoken names. Some descended into the oceans of the mortal realm. Others still drift among the void. He looked up, making eye contact with the oldest folk hunter, who had gone pale as snow. Krakens emerge rarely, but when they do, they leave only ruin. They slaughter because they are echoes of the original madness, catalysts of chaos. Before mortal breath, before the first dwarf struck iron, the Krakens were. In those first eons, the plains teemed with the spawn of the far realm. It was the Dawn War, or perhaps the Blood War, that shattered their dominion, scattering them like fire across water. Now they are rare, but rarity is not safety. Zephyros paused, his eyes scanning the next passage with a quiet hum of concern. The sea kraken, a herald of the end, a primeval force of destruction. Its coming is presaged by storms that defy natural order, winds that scream, waves that claw at cities. Seawalls shatter, towers crumble, the drowned do not rest. Ships vanish into tentacled grip, their crews returned only in nightmares. The few who survive speak of a great eye rising from below. The air stills, the sky turns black. Then comes the Kraken. He closed the book halfway, tapping the pages with one long finger. And when such a being appears, it is never alone. Behind it always, cults, whispers, mortals deluded into thinking servitude will buy them salvation. Zephyros opened to the final sunlit page. Worse still is the astral kraken. Some krakens in their quest for dominion or godhood are not completely satisfied with their respective domains on the material plane. Instead, they have projected their gaze to the multiverse itself and have sought out the ability to travel the astral plane and beyond at will. It shifts, flickering with the semblance of constellations, its body both luminous and shadowed, its eyes deeper than the void itself. From the edges of the astral sea, it strikes. Its tentacles reach into minds, not just matter, and madness follows in its wake. Madness before, madness after, and madness within. Crews aboard astral skiffs vanish without scream or sign. Those few who return are never whole. Their minds echo with laughter, not their own. Their souls feel constant anticipation of the beast's eventual return. Zephyros gently closed the tome. The final words, burned into bronze at the edge of the cover, gleamed with eerie simplicity. They are what gods fear. He turned back to the folk, voice quieter now, as if even the sky might be listening. In the waters around Saros, my cousins, storm giants, ever the proud defenders of sea and sky, and the Merrow clans hunt the Krakens. They keep their numbers low, but such things cannot be ended, only delayed. A long silence hung in the air like mist. Then, with a thunderous smile, Zephyros broke the tension. Well, wasn't that a bit of light evening reading? Remind me not to open chapter 6 after midnight. Last time, I opened one page on gods of the far realm. Now that one should be locked away in my subconscious. The folk laughed, but it was a nervous sound, a respectful one. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of the tale settling over them like sea mist. Some stared out over the edge of the cloud floor, gazing at the moonlit expanse of ocean far, far below. Others clutched lucky charms, muttering soft prayers to the Umberlee, or whispering names of lost kin. Zephyros, ever attuned to such silences, leaned forward and smiled gently. His eyes, bright as lightning and soft as rain, crinkled with amusement and just a touch of melancholy. Ah, but do not let your hearts be dragged into the abyss, my friends. Slarkrethel is real, yes, and so are shadows, but so too are sunrises, and the laughter of children, and the songs you sing as nets come full. The sea has its horrors, yes, but it has not forgotten you. He stood then, his towering frame rising with a breeze that rustled the tapestries like sails. You are not small to me. You are bright. And if ever you fear the Kraken's reach, remember, even the deepest darkness cannot touch the sky. And you, brave folk of the Moonshays, are welcome in my sky. Always. A ship passed beneath the cloud giant's tower, its crew moving around with grace, their roles within the starboard and port side, in harmony. In the distance, the waves danced at a different rhythm, and one couldn't wonder if this was their lucky day, or whether the sea itself would claim them.